That's 7 minutes past, David, so I think we probably should head over.
Yeah, of course. So hopefully you've all got the Miro board on your screen. Welcome to everybody for our first live database event. So Tony's asked if you haven't already started following our stacks on the service formerly known as Twitter. It'd be amazing if you could use the handle, which is @StacksHQ. And if you're tweeting, please use the hashtag #upskillwithstack. So you can see that on the board there. So also a reminder that the session is being recorded. That's so we can access it later on, as with all the resources, as well as all the materials from the software development and the web development sessions, including any additional resources that we are making. The only thing that we ask is for feedback at the end of any resources that you use, and you can pass that onto the stacks using the email address hello@stacks.scot. And you can also use that email for any general issues that you're having accessing any of our resources. So we have the agenda up here. So we're going to spend a little bit of time just kind of making sure everyone's familiar with the Miro board. We're going to be getting a little bit of interaction with you all today. And that's going to be for the first kind of up to 7:15. We've then got 7:15 to 7:25. We'll then focus on the analysis and evaluation stages of the development process. 7:25 all the way to 7:45. We're then going to look at the analysis of database requirements at a higher level, and at 7:45 all the way to 8:15, we'll then consider how to scaffold learners when creating end user and functional requirements. And we'll use breakout rooms at this point to discuss the requirements. We'll then at 8:15 look at the evaluation of the database solutions. At 8:25, we'll look at a roadmap, an opportunity to think about what you'd like to discuss in our kind of future sessions coming forward. And we're going to 8:30, we'll call it an after party, a chance to kind of have a chat with us to find out a little bit more about what we're doing. And if you've got any questions you want to ask at the end of the presentation at 8:30, that will be your opportunity. So I'm going to pass you over to Kimberly just now.
Hi everyone, I'm Kim. So I'm going to be presenting the Miro board in the background. So I just want to talk you through a couple of the logistical things that's going to happen throughout the night. And then after that's done, David and I will switch off our cameras and we'll crack on with the presentation. So the Google Meet itself is just for talking to us, really for the audio if you like. And then a lot of the actual goings on and the presenting is going to happen from the board itself. So hopefully you've all managed to get into it. The background team and support team are going to be there in the chat. So any issues at all at any point, jump into there and they'll be able to support you. With regarding using the Miro board, when we are in presenting view, you'll kind of see it like a PowerPoint in play, so you'll be able to see everything. When I come out of that, which I'm going to do just now, and stop the presentation, you'll be able to see the entire Miro board, which is a little bit overwhelming, especially if you zoom out. And you'll see everybody's random cursors flying about in the screen.
There's mine there.
If we are doing this, can I ask you to, if we're kind of in this view, over the left-hand side of each of the slides we're looking at, you'll see a wee cursor park. So if everybody, let's do a wee practice now, heads over to the left-hand side of the slide that we're currently on. Hopefully everyone can kind of see where everyone else's cursors are heading to. Perfect. And basically, if at any point you kind of feel like you're looking at it in this view and you want to turn those cursors off, there's an option at the top, I think it might be highlighted in blue for you just now actually, to hide the collaborators. So basically you won't be able to see that. It's a really useful feature, just in case anything gets stuck on the front. Most of the time we'll be in presentation mode unless we're going to be editing. But the cursor park's there. Also, please don't move any of the objects around, because if you haven't used Miro before, basically when you're in this stance, if you like, this is like edit mode. So anything you move, you'll move for everybody. It's not like a read-only version, if you like. So try not to move anything about. A lot of the things you're interacting with won't necessarily be moving. It will just be kind of typing things into different boxes. Throughout the presentation, David and I are going to be asking you at various points to do some reactions. So we might ask you for a thumbs up or an exploding head or something. You can access them at the top, but also when I'm in presentation mode, whenever that pops up, just follow me again and you can get them really easily at the wee tab at the bottom. So that's nice and easy for you to get access to. And then there is the Miro chat option. you can click the downwards point arrow and then select the chat option. But most of our chat really is going to be happening across in the Google Meet itself. And obviously, when we do the breakouts, you'll have an individual person that'll be with you there, and you can do the chats there. The last thing really was just making sure that when I'm doing present mode, try to get access to that. If for any reason you click the wrong button, you should be able to go to the top right and join me. And you can also follow presenters too. So your breakout rooms, you might be asked to kind of follow a presenter so you can see more than one slide. It should all be there on that top bar in the top right hand side. Stay away from the tools on the left hand side because they're the edit tools, and basically that should all be it. So let's start off by saying hi, and we'll do the wee hi board first, I think, David, will we? And then we can turn off the cameras and get started. So if you could go to the right of where you currently are, you will see there's a green board that's got start, click a white note, change the color, insert your name and comment. So if you head over to there, also a really good tip, if you're trying to move around the screen, if you hold your right mouse down, that moves the screen about, and then your left mouse is for interacting. Okay, so click on a white note, change its color, add your name and a wee welcome message of some kind. The text will automatically get smaller on that post-it, so we can all say hello to you. John, classic hello world, love it.
Yes.
But obviously we don't have your names if you're called AI friend. Yeah, I love Barra. Wow, what a beautiful place to live.
I know, I'm jealous.
Remote, but stunning. Hi, Shona.
Hello, everybody. That's awesome.
Oh, I didn't do one. Should I do one?
Yeah.
Too busy presenting. Here we go.
Brilliant.
When you click on the post-it, you can also change the color. If you just click on the tools just above it, there's a wee circle.
Brilliant. Look, that seemed to work well.
Who's Hola? I love that.
Great.
Fab. Okay, we'll turn off cameras and then whenever you're David, I'll start presenting. Thanks so much for joining us, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, onto the Miro board now, And Kimberly, you presenting this at this point? Yeah, great. Here we go. Join presentation. Here we go.
Good. I can see people join at the bottom. Looks like we've got all 9 now.
Brilliant. Okay, so I'll get started. So let's start by looking at something that's super familiar to all of us kind of computing teachers, the software development process.
So obviously in our courses just now, David, we teach 3 different types of development. We've got software development, web development, and database development. So is this going to be applying to all 3 of those? Yeah,
it does. So the development processes are complete in sequence. So for all 3 of them for analysis, design, implementation, testing, and evaluation.
Fantastic, because we're planning our focus on the database design development session, so that's great.
Yeah, so that also means that once the people's kind of familiar with the process within databases, they're able to apply it to whatever type of task that they're able to complete, so they can use it in web and they can also use it in software development.
Now, it's funny you say that, David, actually, because I don't really remember pupils being asked to complete like a full analysis and design like before implementing code in any of like previous SQA course assignments that we've had.
Yeah, I mean, that is true. So the course assignments, they're set up to make sure that pupils can get marks for tasks at later stages in the development process. So even if they get stuck with the earlier stages, like analysis or design, they can still get the marks in the implementation stage.
Which is obviously a good thing.
Yeah.
But it might give pupils like the wrong idea slightly.
Yeah, that's unfortunately, that's totally true. So the kind of the approach often means that pupils they see the stages as separate. They don't kind of see that they're kind of tied together. They kind of see them a little bit like this. If we just move this wee bit away just now, everything's a little bit disjointed. They don't understand that one leads on to the next.
Yeah, and I suppose what they're seeing is like one single document there, where the stages are kind of like separate, and the implementation looks like a lot more important than the rest of the stages. Yeah,
totally. So not only do the people think the stages should be completed separately, they often don't understand how the stages actually relate to the implementation, especially analysis and evaluation stages, that they seem like the furthest away from the implementation stage.
Yeah, so I could see really why it's important to spend some time focus on like these furthest away stages.
Yep.
Is there like evidence that supports that pupils aren't doing as well with analysis and evaluation, or?
Yeah, I mean, probably even in my class, but to make it maybe a bit more national, each year the SQA course report provides feedback from principal assessors. These results give details about the performance of candidates in the question paper and the assignment.
Okay, well, let's have a look at some comments.
Yeah, okay.
There's quite a lot of comments here, actually, that have been made in relation to analysis and design questions in both the question papers and the assignments for higher Nat 5.
Yeah, so I mean, these are from the SQA course report. I mean, I'll give you a few minutes or two to read over some of them or some of the feedback.
Yeah, and then we can have a look in some more detail.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some I can see like literally standing out already. Eh?
Yeah. There's that one. Have you got that one there?
Yes, well, that's the one at the top I'm looking at. Yeah, so like
Yeah.
this statement from the higher course report in 2019 makes it clear that the candidate's responses to tasks requiring written analysis and the evaluation are actually weaker to all of the implementation ones, where that's like a big red flag, isn't it?
Yep. So I'm also like to kind of highlight the second on the top row. This one here, centres should ensure that candidates appreciate the value of the analysis and evaluation stages of the development process. I'd also say the third statement down the left-hand side as well. If you have a look at that one. It says here, yep, an area of relatively poor performance continues to be with the analysis stage. So, I mean, it's clear from these statements that the problem just wasn't a one-off.
Yeah, no, sadly that seems the case. It seems the case.
Yep.
There's also feedback here to say that rather than evaluate their solutions, candidates are tending to provide like really generic definitions, and that's what we found when we've been looking at stuff, isn't it?
Yep, totally. So if I can highlight the first one on the bottom row, this one down here, it also looks like there's an issue at National 5 level analysis tasks.
And that's analysis, but also if you look down at the statement 3 on the bottom row, that's evaluation seems to be the same at National 5 too. So it seems across both levels. It's the same, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's clear that we need to look at analysis and valuation stages of the database development in way more detail.
Okay, so how do the requirements then in these areas of computing science courses differ like across from National 5 down to higher and advanced higher?
Right, okay, yep. So if we move on to the next slide here. So let's look at the analysis first. Okay, so on the left-hand side, we've got analysis. Both in National 5 and at higher level, candidates are expected to identify the end user and functional requirements that relate to the implementation at that stage.
Yeah, and actually they are the exact same wording. So just to be clear, David, the difference really between both of those levels is related to the implementation for that level. So the SQL queries and the SQL constructs that the candidates are expected to implement.
Yep, okay, that's correct. So the end user requirements relate to what it is that the end user wants to achieve, and the functional requirements should relate to the SQL queries that will be used to deliver whatever it is the end user wants.
Yeah, and then at the advanced higher level, there's still that need to identify the requirements in relation to the queries, but also they need to then consider the inputs, the process, and the outputs on top of that.
Yep, so this is because the advanced higher level, candidates have the knowledge and the skills needed to implement the interface for their SQL databases, either using a website or a program, and that means that the users will be able to provide inputs and receive outputs.
Which totally makes sense. So shall we have a little look at the evaluation now as well?
Yeah, let's go for it. Okay, just get rid of that stacks. But they're brilliant. Thank you very much. So let's find out where we are here. So both, again, the National 5 and higher have the same two requirements. The database solutions are evaluated in terms of fitness for purpose and accuracy.
Yeah, and then actually we can see down at advanced higher level, there's actually more, like even more requirements being added in there.
Yep, that's right. Advanced higher candidates should also evaluate the maintainability and robustness of any database solution.
Great. So I understand, I think, from all of that, why it's important that we should be focusing on analysis and evaluation in our teaching.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I would admit this, but in a rush to teach coding, needed to implement the solutions, these stages are often overlooked. But we need to take the time to allow pupils to practice how to analyze requirements and evaluate their solutions.
Great, I agree. So I think now what we need to do is look at analysis in particular in more detail, and then we'll come to evaluation a little bit later, yeah?
Yeah, I'm all right with that.
Okay.
Here we go. Right, so this here is a higher task. Hopefully everybody in the Miro can read the information and see the information on there, but don't worry, I'll go first. So let's start looking at the higher task. We're going to call it Camp Osprey. So this frame presents some background about the camp and introduces the need for a database. So here we go. Camp Osprey is a summer activities camp for children aged 6 to 16 years old. The camp operates during June, July, and August, and it's split up into 3 4-week sessions. So during each session, the camp operates a 2-day timetable, which repeats 3 times from Monday through to Saturday, with Sunday being a rest day. The timetable is divided into 10 periods 1 to 5 on day 1, and periods 6 to 10 on day 2 of the alternating cycle, and a sample of the timetable is shown below.
I'm not going to lie, David, that's quite a lot of information. So
yeah.
Just to be clear, right?
Yeah,
the
okay,
camp runs 3 times over the summer months.
Yep, that's correct.
Right, and then each child attending the summer camp has a timetable with 10 different activities.
Yeah, so the first 5 activities are completed on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Friday.
Yeah, and then the remaining 5 are on the Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Saturdays.
Yep, and the same activities are completed for the 4 weeks of each camp.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, so
more.
Here's some more information about the summer camp.
Right, well, let me read this bit then, okay?
Right, okay, you go.
Campers choose different activities for each of the 10 periods. Some activities are covered in the standard cost of their booking, while the premium activities have an additional cost. Campers can attend more than one session, but must create a new timetable for each session. And it is possible to create a different timetable for each of the sessions they attend. The manager of Camp Osprey has decided to create a relational database and appoints a database developer to create that new database system.
Quite a lot of stuff again, right? It's my turn to see if I can understand that. Okay. Right. So is it correct that a child can attend the summer camp more than once?
Okay, they can,
right.
But the child can attend more than one 4-week block of activities, but they'd have to make a different timetable for each 4-week block or session.
Right. Okay, that's great. It's great. So that means that a camper would be able to try a huge range of activities. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And most of them are included in the standard cost, but we have to remember that some activities have that additional cost there from the first paragraph.
It must be a nightmare for the management team to keep track of the campers who sign up to the different sessions and all the different activities that are involved with.
Well, I think it's going to be a nightmare for the kids too, but yeah. And I suppose that's why the manager of the camp really wants to set up the database system to make it much easier to monitor, right?
Right, okay, so the first stage of the development of the database, of course, is to analyze it.
That's great. So how would the analysis actually be carried out then?
Right, okay, so if we move on to the next frame.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, here we have a manager, we have a developer. So the manager of the camp would meet with one of the team of developers. This person asks questions to find out what it is the manager wants to do with the new database.
Cool. So let's look at the first example. I'm loving the fact that the developer is a woman as well.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so this first question looks like to be about the premium activities, which to me were one of the standout things. And then in his answer, the manager is explaining about the monitoring that's needed for them.
Yeah. Okay.
It's good. So we'll come back and look at that more later. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the middle one's here. Yep. So this question, if we have a little look at it just now, I'll give you some time to have a read. This question asks about any more monitoring that is needed, and the manager explains what it is that he would like to do. Yep.
That one's a bit bigger writing. Yeah, good. Okay. And the last one then, the final question, that's asking about the invoices, which are obviously going to be important for paying for the camps, but also for the extra information, right? So that's going to be produced for each camper. In total, though, it makes sense how the developers really gather the information that we haven't got in that initial brief to see what it is that the database needs to do.
Yep.
What then is that like developer? What's she going to do with this information?
Okay, so the developer uses this information and gathered to produce a list of end user and functional requirements. So the end user requirements say what it is that the end user of the database wants to do.
And then I suppose in our case, although this is about like students attending a camp or kids attending a camp, they're not the end users though, are they? Because the end user is going to be the person who's using the database. So that's really going to be the manager of the camp.
Yeah, that's totally correct. And what's more, the end user requirements are written using the answers provided by the manager of the camp. They aren't technical because the manager of the camp doesn't have any technical knowledge about the database.
So if they are not technical, I suppose it's important then to make sure that the functional requirements are technical.
That's it, spot on. So the functional requirements must be written using technical database terms. And once they have been written, all the requirements are passed on to the design team, whose job it is to design a solution that meets all of the manager's needs. The design team don't need to speak to the manager of the camp, so the requirements that they receive must be accurate, clear, and spot on.
Which would, I suppose, be the developer's job.
Yeah.
So will we go on now then and look at some end user requirements and see how like higher pupils that we've got just now cope with converting them into functional requirements?
If we must, let's go.
Come on, higher pupils, you can do this, right? Now, actually, if the SQA are to be believed, then these technically shouldn't be bad because this is what we're trying to improve. Or they should be bad, I mean, so we're trying to improve them, yeah?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go and have a look. So here's the first one of those blocks from earlier that was provided by the manager of the camp. And then below we've got a functional requirement that's been written by one of our higher pupils.
Okay, so a good functional requirement must be accurate and clear. So if we can come out of present mode so that way people who are viewing the Miro can get access to the emojis.
I think they can emoji from the bottom actually,
Can
David.
Oh, right. Brilliant, that's right. We
trumpet.
need to do that. Great. So if you just move your mouse a little bit or touch the screen, you should have access to your emoji. So I want you to have a look at that requirement. Let me know a wave right there. If you can do a head explosion or a thumbs up, depending on what you think of that requirement.
So we're looking for accuracy and clearness, yeah?
Yeah, I've seen a wave, but I've mostly seen some head explosions. Any more to come?
We're looking for 9 votes.
Yeah, 9 votes. Do you think that this is a good functional requirement? So for me, I'd be like, would the design team understand exactly what it is that's needed?
I think that must be most reactions.
Yeah, I think it. I've actually had a bit of a mix. I've at least seen 3 or 4 thumbs up, but I think I've seen about 3 head explosions as well.
Yeah, I think about half and half actually.
Yep.
Okay, so I suppose from my perspective, I think, David, some important details are missing from the requirement. So for me, the keyword I would be wanting to see from my kids is query, and it's not there. So it doesn't say that query is needed to perform the task. And we should be looking for those technical database terms. But it does, however, say about the total income to be calculated, but then it doesn't say anything about the previous activities. So that's, to me, it's missing something.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with you. I'd say that's correct. This requirement would lead to a solution that doesn't meet the needs of the manager. And that's why I'd say it's a poor functional requirement. It just does not have enough detail.
Okay, will we have a look at another pupil's response then?
Yeah, go for it. Let's see what else we've got. I'm nervous.
Right. So again, people in the background, we've got use an aggregate function to count how often activities are selected. That's as a functional requirement for that same scenario above. So can you give us a thumbs up if you think this one is good or better, or exploding head if you think it's worse than the last one that we declared as maybe not a good one? Thumbs up. Interesting. So 1 exploding head and 2 exploding, 3. Oh, it's all going horribly wrong. Again, probably half and half, yeah?
Yeah, bit of a mix, yeah. So, 2 seconds. Well, this response does mention the need to count. It does say that, how often the activities have been selected, but this response doesn't mention that we're only interested in the premium activities. And it doesn't say that we need to total the costs. And once again, this response, I would say, doesn't talk about the need for a query.
Yeah. And actually, we start to see technical terms like aggregate function, and it kind of skews our thoughts a little bit. But actually, this requirement is missing a lot of detail that would be needed by the designer. So I think that that's probably another example of a pure functional requirement. But the fact that we're so torn as teachers, how are the kids meant to get it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's kind of why we're looking at this. So, I mean, as the SQA say, it's quite consistent that nobody's getting this right. So hopefully by the end of this session, we will be. But let's have a look at another one. Okay, so you can read what it is that the manager would like to do, and you can see that the functional requirement has been produced again by a higher pupil. So just again, we're looking at functional requirements here. So take a minute to read over this. Okay, I'm not going to read it out, but please just take a little minute to read it out. And
we just do same reactions as last time.
Yeah, exactly. Once you've read it, let me know what you think.
I feel like I need a middle reaction.
Like a wavy hand.
Yeah, like
a shrug.
A shrug.
Yeah, I should have put that in. But it's so interesting to kind of see what people think of these requirements.
More exploding faces this time, I would have said.
Okay.
Although it starts with query, which pleases me a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little bit better for the functional. Yeah, but it's got at least actually mentioning the function.
Okay, so this requirement does say query, which we like, and that the count function will be used to count the number of campers who selected premium activities and display the activities from least to most popular, which is good. However, it doesn't mention only activities at the waterfront or during session 2, which were obviously specifically mentioned above. It also doesn't say how activities that were equally popular should be displayed. That's mentioned at the very bottom of that top bit, David. So I still think maybe pure functional requirement.
Yeah, I would probably agree with you there. Okay, should we maybe just look at one more?
Yeah.
Okay. Is it one more? Let's see. Okay. Again, I'm not going to read them out. Have a little read at this one. We don't need to read the bit at the top anymore, just the functional requirement written by a higher student. And let us know what you think.
Straight in with exploding heads.
Well, maybe we should start marking the SQA exams like this. Thumbs up and exploding heads. Yeah, that'd be good.
I think more people would sign up,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think most people are agreeing that this too is a pure functional requirement. I mean, there are a couple of positives. It does mention a query, which we love. And the databases are ordered by popularity, then by name. So it's got that kind of complex sort. However, there's nothing to say that only those activities at the waterfront in session 2. Wow, why is the background change color? That was weird. Yep. And it doesn't give any technical detail about how the popularity of each activity is calculated. So it's still missing stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Let's do one more. We've got a wee hidden area on the frame, so we'll take that hidden area away. Okay, so let's look at one final example. This time, you'll read about the information that the manager needs to have available when the invoice for each camper is produced. To be totally honest, I quite like invoice questions. You can also see the functional requirement that has been produced by the higher pupil. So have a little read at that again and just interact with us. Some exploding heads or thumbs up based on what you think. Had 1. Oh, yep. So it's 2. What else have we got? Yeah, this one's not popular. I've not seen any thumbs up for this one yet. Yeah. So this functional requirement mentions the need for a query and the need to sum and group by session, but it doesn't mention the need to also show the total cost for each session attended and the total cost for the premium activities in those sessions. Now, to meet the needs of the manager, the functional requirement should mention the need to store separate queries or make use of subqueries.
Okay, one last one, yeah?
Okay.
We're praying for a good one.
Yeah, I'm sure we've said that a few times tonight, actually, but okay, let's go.
Okay, for the last time on this slide, guys, have a look at that last green post-it and see what you think. Thumbs up if it's better or good, or exploding head if you think it's poor.
I don't know if I've missed any in the vote share. If not, people are still reading. Keep going. Yeah.
Yep. I've got a thumbs up.
Oh, look at
thumbs up.
this.
I'm actually more inclined to want to give it a thumbs up just because it's on green. Is that me? What do you think, David?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I'd say it's a very good attempt by the people. They need to use a query to calculate the cost of each session, the cost of the premium activities, and the total amount due are all mentioned.
Yeah, in fact, actually, the only negative that I can see is that the response doesn't really mention like the sum function will be used to calculate the subtotals and the overall total cost, because we would be kind of looking for that, technical wording.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it's a really, really good attempt, but unfortunately, it's lacking sufficient technical detail to be fully accurate. But it's pretty good. Yeah, so we can see from these examples that candidates are finding it difficult to analyze a user's needs. I know many of my people get quite frustrated when we're looking at this and I'm maybe marking them down. So yeah, they are finding it difficult.
And we're finding it difficult too, because the lack of sort of resources we've got. So hopefully tonight we can give people something that will help. So we've been kind of looking at something to kind of scaffold the requirements. So will we have a little look and see what that looks like, David?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, right.
Now,
it says I'm writing. I don't want to be writing. Why am I on editing? No, what's happening?
So you. It's changing the green. Is that what it is? There we go. Now, this looks simple, but we spent a long time discussing this. We're pretty proud of it. We hope it works for you. Wait to see the next one. But when we put together the scaffolding, we started by looking at what makes a good end user requirement. And there were some very clear similarities to what makes a good one. There's always a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an ending. Now, the beginning is always a statement saying the requirement has come from the user. The middle is always an action that the user wants the database to carry out. And the ending is always in the context of the task.
So an end user requirement should really be beginning with the words the user should be able to. We should be seeing that all the time.
Yep.
And then we pick like one of those 4 actions: display, add, edit, remove, depending on what's happening. And then that end context is coming from the detail of what's been said by the person.
Yep, that's exactly right. So people's only need to be careful with the context at the end. Okay, making sure that they mention the specific information that the user wants from the question that they're trying to answer.
Yeah, so I suppose like if that just says add a person, then we can be a little bit more vague there. But then if it says like you want to display the forename and the surname, then you can't just say display details. You need to kind of specifically list those field names. Would that be fair?
Yeah.
And I actually noticed there, it doesn't mention anything about calculations or aggregate functions in that action section. Those are quite like plain words.
Yeah, so that's right. So these are end user requirements. So they shouldn't contain features of a database. Okay, I mean, I'll even say that again. When I'm in my people's, I want to hit home that point. Because they're end user requirements, they should not contain features of a database. So end users aren't likely to know anything about the structure of a database or how they work. So an end user requirement should always be non-technical.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so let's look at an example, and hopefully together we can put a good end user requirement, but we'll use this technique. Okay, so the first speech bubble from the manager says, okay, I need to monitor how often the premium activities are selected by campers. For say session 3, I need to look at the income from each of those activities and see the total income from premium activities for a particular selected session. So can you or can we work out the end user requirement from this using the scaffolding technique in front of us?
You're going to want me to do this, David, aren't you?
Yeah.
Okay. No pressure. Right.
Go for it.
Easy bit, right? It's going to start with the user should be able to.
Yeah, that's it. And what do you think the action will be?
Well, we're not adding or editing or deleting or removing anything, so it's display.
Yeah, okay. And now put it together and add a context from the task. This is probably the hardest bit for the pupils.
Well, this is the bit that I always feel stupid because you're just copying, right? So
Yeah, kind
what
of.
I would say, this is what I'm going to go with, right? The user should be able to display how often the premium activities are selected by campers for a session rather than just session 3.
Yep.
And then they should be able to see the income from each activity and the total income from premium activities for a particular selected session.
Yeah, I mean, should we reveal that? Here's the answer I've got here. Have a little read at it. I mean, I'd say perfect. As you can see, that would be the end user requirement. I think
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
so a lot of that's the same, isn't it?
Yeah. How did you find doing that? All right.
I mean, fine, yeah.
Okay.
The scaffold's good.
Yeah, right. Okay, should we maybe look at another example? Yep, and let's go again. So I'll just read it quickly. Okay, so you can listen along. So it would be useful to look at a list of premium activities that campers attended at the waterfront during session 2. This would show the number of campers who attended those premium activities and would display details of the least popular premium activity first. Activities that are equally popular should be listed alphabetically. That was a mouthful. So can you work out a user requirement? So again, we're still sitting on end user requirements here.
Right, so this one's a display again. So it needs to be, the user should be able to display and then go from a list of premium activities that campers attended at the waterfront during session 2, because that was missing from the other ones.
Yeah.
And then also to be able to see the number of campers who attended those premium sessions and see the details of least popular premium activity first.
Okay.
And then the bit about activities that are equally popular would be listed alphabetically, maybe plugged on the end.
Okay, I mean, I think that's exactly how it should be written. If we've got the answers here, let's get a look. Okay, let's get a look at it. Yeah, okay.
Good.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's making sense to people. I think, will we just get like a wee feedback from people to see what people think? So give us a thumbs up or a heart maybe if you're finding that okay.
Yeah, I mean,
and then explode in head if you think, dear Lord, please do another example because I'm not getting it. Yeah,
because we've definitely done that quite quickly. So it might even just be worthwhile looking at the answer and kind of backward engineering the answer into the structure. So, but it definitely fits.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just give some...
Everyone seems pretty heartsy there.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Good.
Okay, I mean, so let's kind of move forward here then.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
So the technique we want to share with the pupils really is just making sure they start with the user should be able to, then pick one of the 4 actions, and then really just finish with as much of the context that makes sense from the detail they've been given, yeah?
Yep. But just remember, and I've said this a few times tonight, it's important that they don't include any database features or functions at this stage when they're writing end user requirements. End user requirements should have no database features.
Perfect. Cool. So will we have a look at then some functional requirements now?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, let's have a look.
Okay, so as you can see, this kind of scaffolding is a little bit different. I'll give you a little kind of few seconds just to look over it just now. But similar to the end user requirements, when we thought about scaffolding that was needed, we started by looking at what makes a good functional requirement.
David, this was not an easy task.
No, it took us way too long.
I mean, these people are coming into this meeting thinking that we sound really confident, but my Lord, us and the people in the background took ages trying to come up with this scaffold.
Yes.
I mean, we looked at marking schemes, marker reports, we spoke to current markers, and this is kind of what we got to, isn't it? Yeah,
I mean, that's right. I mean, there were some clear similarities with end user requirements, a beginning, a middle, and an end.
And I suppose we changed the beginning to always be that statement saying a query to, because that's what was missing from some of the other ones.
Yep.
And then to do something, the middle is always going to be a specific action, but we changed that to our technical language. So we're seeing like select, insert, etc. And then at the end, you're still going to get that context, you know, that's coming from the information you've been given. The main difference really is the action the query has to do.
Yeah. So, I mean, looking at the SQL documentation, we could see 5 kind of similar actions. So we had select, insert, update, delete, and calculate.
But actually, from the diagram, calculate has several kind of subsections to choose from as well.
Yeah. So, I mean, once we get to higher level, many of the database questions, they make use of calculations, calculated field, aggregated functions. So we wanted to make sure that pupils know what details to add when writing the functional requirements.
And then I suppose really remembering the bigger picture, because they need to be specific enough for another developer to understand. In the real world, it's not the same people who are doing the analysis that are, doing the developing. So it should have that sufficient amount of detail for members of the design or coding teams to take those functional requirements and then turn them into fully functioning queries that meet the end user's needs that we had to begin with. Okay,
so let's put this kind of scaffolding to the test. Let's have a look at example number 1. So I'll just read it quickly. Here we go. I need to monitor how often the premium activities are selected by campers for, say, session 3. Look at the income for each of those activities and see the total income from premium activities for a particular selected session. So, Kimberly, can you create the functional requirement for this example using the scaffolding structure that we have in front of us?
David, you've got me doing the heavy lifting tonight,
yeah,
I swear.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, I can definitely see it's a calculation, and it says how many. So I'm going to say it's a count.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we don't need to say count at this stage because that's a feature of SQL, and implementation isn't needed at the analysis stage. So look at the blue options, and which one would you pick?
Okay, so I suppose if I'm looking at calculations, the most obvious one is number of calculation.
Okay.
So do you want me to try and put it together then?
Yeah, go for it.
So I'm thinking I query 2 and then calculate and then the number of, and then going back down to the bottom, it would be a query to calculate the number of premium activities that are selected by campers for session 3, and then use the cost of these activities to calculate the total income from premium activities for a particular selected session. And obviously you could change that if it wasn't session 3.
Okay, so drum roll, should we see if you're correct?
I hope so.
Oh, let's get a look. How is it? Yeah. So correct answer.
Yeah, that's about session 3, but I suppose that would just be replaced with a session or any session if it wasn't that one that was needed.
Yeah. Okay. Shall we look at a different one then? Okay, here we go. So I'll read this out. Please reread it along with me, but not out loud because that would put me off. But here we go. It would be useful to look at a list of premium activities that campers attended at the waterfront during session 2. This would show the number of campers who attended those premium activities and would display details of the least popular premium activity first. Activities that are equally popular should be listed alphabetically. So, yet again, Kimberly, can you work out a functional requirement from this? Now, this one might be written with more than one action.
That's what I'm thinking, because actually I'm looking for it says to look at a list of premium activities. So I need to use select since the first sentence doesn't actually mention any calculations.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking the requirement would be a query to select the premium activities that campers attended at the waterfront during session 2, because they're specifically mentioned.
Yeah, okay, so that's the first part. Yeah, what about the second sentence?
Because it says show, I'm thinking, and then a query or that wants to display the number of campers, which is a count, and that needs a calculation. So it would be a query to calculate the number of campers who attended each of these premium activities and list details of the least popular activity first. Activities that are equally popular should be listed alphabetically. I mean, I feel like I'm just reading that in but out, but
right, okay. And what happens if you put them together?
So a query.
Okay,
right. Okay, so a query to select the premium activities that campers attended at the waterfront during session 2, and then also calculate the number of campers who attended each of these premium activities and list details of the least popular activity first. Activities that are equally popular should be listed alphabetically.
Oh, I think I'm quite impressed. But here we go, drum roll. Let's see if you're right.
The scaffold helps, though.
Yeah, okay. So that's exactly what a functional requirement should be written.
So, but then if there's two parts of the requirement, you don't have to mention a query to twice.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure actually.
Yeah, so I mean, yes, the level of detail about the number of queries needed is considered at design and implementation stages, but not at the analysis stage. The developer doing the analysis would simply say that querying was needed, but wouldn't say how that querying should be carried out.
Okay, so it's keeping it simpler than I thought it needed to be.
Yeah.
Okay. How does everyone then feel about the functional requirements? Are we liking them? Can we get a wee same as last time, heart if you find them good, or exploding head if this just seems a bit more complicated? Because we do have one more example that
we've got another one.
Oh,
the love heart, that makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside.
I know. I'm actually I think I need a lie down. My brain's been working so hard there.
Yeah.
Good, mostly positive feedback then. So I don't think we need to do the third example.
No, I'm all good with that. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so shall I stop presenting and we'll head over to the feedback for this section?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay, so I'm jumping out everybody, but we're going to head to the feedback section, which is, oh, look who we are. It's right next to where we were. So this is the green feedback section. It says need feedback in the purple arrow. You should be able to see my little cursor hovering in the middle, and David's too. Come find us.
Yeah.
Come find us. Brendan and S. Burton and Lon, you need to come up the way. And Mr. McCluskey, you need to come right and up. Here we are. Okay. So here's what I would like you to do. We're going to pause for a wee moment and get some feedback from you all. I want you to click on a blank note. David, maybe you could do one for me, actually, just that first one.
I'm actually
change the colour.
Yep,
you've got a beautiful orange. Yellow, that's nice.
Yeah.
Type a comment on it, because obviously we need a little bit of feedback to help us. So do you think the scaffolding structures were useful? How might you use them in your classes? Do you see any challenges? What concerns do you have? If you are finding it good, try maybe make your post-it green. If you're okay overall, maybe yellow, and if you're finding it quite difficult or overwhelming, then red, and then kind of list any challenges or niggles or concerns you've got, and then maybe we can have a wee chat about them before we...
Yeah, we'll try and address any issues.
Yeah, before we do anything else. I think it's breakout session after this, isn't it? So
yes, the
whoever's left in black, could you pick a colour for that? What does it say? We'll be using the scaffolding diagrams. If you click on your post-it, just above it, you can choose the colours, Yeah.
I mean,
scaffolding diagrams are good. That's good.
Yeah, brilliant. I think so too. I mean, I'm really hoping that the SQA kind of feedback next year based on these sessions and the scaffolding that we're all kind of giving you will hopefully really improve the overall results nationally, not just for my kids.
Yeah, I'm loving that there's one there that says scaffold is fantastic and just in time for hire, but it's in red. Difficult.
Brilliant feedback. The team are also the team that helped us come up with them are also watching this, and I can tell you that they'll be very, very happy about the positive feedback. Just clarification, no need to include reference to specific age functions in the functional requirements, or better to. John, so can you have a look at John's there?
Oh, so if you've edited your post-it, can I ask people to move to the left onto the cursor part? Because then there's lots of things flying about, and actually John's is looking like it's still selected, so I can't read it because it's still a bit maybe you have to click on the back.
That's it.
It's orange. I'm just trying to zoom in a little bit because it's quite small, isn't it?
Yep.
If anyone's on a smaller screen than me, then you'll really be feeling it. Yeah. No need to include reference to specific aggregate functions in the functional requirements, or better to. I think we discussed it. We'll get back to you, but I think we discussed it that it wouldn't need to do that because that's like developer stuff, and you wouldn't be expecting an analyst to know that level of detail. Was that right, David? Yeah,
I mean, a lot of that's more for the implementation stage rather than at the analysis stage at this point. So we need to know what needs to happen, and it's more the kind of implementation stage that uses the aggregate functions to make it happen.
Yeah, because we actually even like queried whether it should say query and things, but we decided when we looked at the past like papers and things like that, they were giving them marks for saying a query too. So they wanted them to use some technical knowledge, but not going too far.
Yeah.
John's comment underneath saying, "Great, thanks, that's amazing."
And John, just to, we'll ask with our team kind of in the background here, if they also want to put any answers to that question, we'll allow them to do that in the Google chat, and you might get a little bit more responses on that one.
Although Morag's typing, I can see her. It
Oh,
was
there we
from 2009. It's coming slowly, I think. Oh yeah, she's answering questions as she go round. Yeah, fab.
Right.
Great.
Okay.
Good. How are we doing for time? It is 5 to 8. When are we to finish this session?
I'm going to quickly jump back to the agenda. Not the agenda. Yeah, the agenda. Let's see. So yeah, we're on time. We're actually a little bit ahead of time, I think. So
good. I'm thinking maybe before we go to breakout, if anyone needs to nip for a quick pee or anything like that, then now's the time to do it.
Yeah. Okay.
While this is going on.
Yeah.
If anyone needs a refresh of their drinks, and then we're going to jump into the breakout. Shall we explain what's happening with the breakouts first?
Yeah. Do you want to take that, or do you want me to do that?
It's up to you. I don't mind.
Yeah. On you go. You can go for that one then.
Okay. So let's get back to analysing. Oh, what was the same a minute? We're going to jump into 3 different breakouts. So David and I and our colleague Jamone are going to have 3 breakouts each, where we'll discuss some new requirements and basically try out some of those scaffolds so you can get a go at actually using them within this CPD session. So we're going to break out for 10 minutes. We'll probably give a couple of minutes for people to go to the toilet. And I think we'll break out at 8 o'clock for 10 minutes, and it should automatically bring us back in here. Okay, guys, so what's going to happen is we're going to go to breakout. So hopefully you're all still in the Miro board. What I would like you to do at the top is find me on the list of the wee circles. I'm not sure if you can see them, but there's little circles at the top, and you should be able to find a K for Kim. And if you click on me, you should be able to follow me, and then basically it'll take you to where I am, and you should see 3 slides. So I need to know mostly whether you can see the slides or not. That's what I need to know. So Morag, are you with me? You can see the 3 slides? You're still on mute, Morag, so I'm just taking your nods and your shakes.
Okay, sorry, I know where you are, yeah.
You're with
Everyone
me.
found Kim in the little circle.
Good. It says 3 people are following me, so I'm thinking there should be, Brendan might not, 4 people? Oh, 4 people now. Perfect.
Yeah, looks like we're all there.
Sorry.
John?
That's right, John?
This breakout room, but by the looks of things, I'm following David.
Yeah, so leave his presentation. I think he started a presentation. He's went off book. Right. John, don't listen to him. If you unfollow him, and then rather than join the presentation, next to that there'll be a list of people. You're here. I can see you. You're really close to me. I'm down the bottom.
So yeah, that's you there now.
I can't see your cursor, but I can see the 3 slides.
Right. Well, you don't need to see my cursor. That's fine. So basically, there is a cursor park on the left-hand side. I'm not presenting, which is why it's weird, because I wanted deliberately you to see all 3 of the slides here. Because what we've got is the top left-hand side is the scaffold, obviously. The top right-hand side is the example conversations between the developer and the manager, and then at the bottom we've got end user and functional requirements. And basically what I wanted to do was just take 10 minutes to actually basically fill in the end user and functional requirements. It doesn't have to be me even that types them in. Maybe we could kind of take 1 each or something and have a little go at trying them. Maybe actually, since there's 3 of you, if Al, do you want to take the yellow row? And John, maybe you could take the pink row, and Gav, you could take the bottom row, the green ones, and we could have a little go maybe at trying to write some of them. And Morag and I, we could kind of just chat about it in a minute, maybe. I think that's more better than us just doing it all together, maybe.
Yeah.
So
it's not really unusual.
Yeah. So Gavin, what you would be doing is looking at the green conversation between the developer and the manager, and then trying to fill out using the scaffolding the end user and functional requirements. But feel free to chat it through with us if you're not sure. I'm not sure if we've got chat now. Do we now or not?
We're in the...
Oh, I'm seeing Debbie. It's my kids' responses. I know. I'm not taking credit for those kids' responses. I've not done databases yet. I was waiting for this.
Yeah, it's a sensible thing to do. Wait till this is over.
But John, you're already got a gold star. The user should be
John's
able
away,
to
yeah.
smashed it.
He's
1 mark
away.
out of 3 for me.
Are you marking them, are you?
I don't know. I just feel like tick. That's what I was
Teacher,
doing when I was
yeah.
trying to come up with them.
Teacher in you.
Tick.
Yes. Teacher in you. Always it. Yeah. Red pen.
It's so funny. You
That's
can see
supposed to be
everybody's
a different
cursors floating up above for the other sessions.
I'm actually thinking these are the same ones.
Are they?
No, the one in the middle is. Oh no, it's not. It's just at the end the same. Sorry.
Yeah,
I wanted-
yeah.
Yeah. They end the same. Sorry. They just end the same. Yeah. Panic. I thought I'd put the wrong ones on the board there, Debbie. Okay, everyone seems to be doing well. Okay with them.
Yeah.
I
I think the end user requirements are easier, aren't they? It's when it gets to the functional ones is the party
Yeah,
starts
yeah.
to really happen.
I think there's just so much variety about how much technical detail you need to put in the functional.
Yeah.
So I think the scaffolding is really helpful.
I think the hardest bit was coming up with the scaffolding, wasn't it? I think now that
Yeah.
we've finally decided, it's definitely helped me a lot, even just get it right in my head.
Yeah.
And I love the
think-
fact that add, edit, remove, like, and even display is like almost like direct thesaurus words to select, insert, update, delete.
We're just walking through. I don't know what the plural of thesaurus is. Thesauri. I don't know.
This is like a dinosaur.
I don't. I just make up words.
Let's have a little
So it
look.
looks
at
like
what
we've
we've
got
got.
yeah. So that's a display. I think most of these ones are all the user should be able to display simply because we took out
the
I think
insert
the ones
ones.
we selected. I think we selected the ones because there was more in the functional
Yeah.
than there was in the
Ow, your
subgroups.
little cursor's confusing me even more because your cursor says visiting innovator. That makes you sound even more like an AI. The cursor should be able to display the full name and postcode. So that's the detail, which is what we wanted, specific detail of the camper who spent the most on premium activities during session 2. That looks pretty good. Discount, should be able to display. I'd like to be able to offer a discount to the campers. Yeah, so that's actually all the end user requirement would mean, because then they're then going to pull out whatever data they want to send them the discount. That doesn't need to be done.
Yeah, I think once you've got past the display bit, yeah, and then it's just the ... really. I think.
So Al, what are you thinking for the functional requirements for yours then? Because there's a calculation. It doesn't actually say it's calculating a discount for yours, so don't be distracted by that. I think that I could be wrong, but I think the display is maybe going for a select because you're just trying to get a list of people to send the calculation to, the discount to, isn't it? What do you think, Morag?
Which one are you doing?
So the top one that Al's working on, the yellow one, it says wants to be able to offer a discount, but it's not asking them to calculate a discount. So I think, to the camper who spent the most on premium activities, is it going to have to find that person, or is it just wanting a list?
I think it's wanting a list of the display, the full
so
name.
You can't have a query to sum. It would be a query to calculate, and then one of those 6 options.
Yeah, I think it would be to.
Would it be the formula? Spend the most premium activities during the day. During, say, session 2. To calculate the spent the most, would it be a maximum? Amount spent on premium activities.
In actual fact, it's one of those, you're going to have to do I know we're not going to say the word sum, but you're going to have to calculate the total and then max it.
So calculate the total, calculate a query to calculate the total, and then from the totals find the maximum. So it would be like one that's got a sub-query in it, but we wouldn't be mentioning that.
Yeah, you'd have to do the totaling, and then you would have to do...
Which is where you were going with the sum, Al, actually, but I think you maybe just need to put in calculate the total first, and then calculate from that the maximum.
And then from that, use that total to work out the maximum.
What about the pink one?
The middle one is the the wild cards, isn't it? So that's select.
The query
doing.
to calculate the average additional cost of premium activities. What does it say? Display a list of activities, locations. No. So display is directly linked to select, isn't it?
Yeah, but
Locations
you've also
and
got within
additional.
it, you're going to have to do a calculation of
That costs more than the average. So you're going to have to work out the average, and then you're going to have to find out everything greater than the average, which would be a formula. Or
no, it would be another double query.
so how would you suggest
Either-
that John writes that then? Throw you in at the deep end there, Morag.
Yeah,
As
I
the
know,
pro.
yeah. I've written the queries, I've done the task, and I need to unpick my head. Yeah, okay, so
This
never
is why
mind.
it's so hard though, isn't it, for the kids? Because
Yeah.
this is a bit, it's just words,
This is
isn't
a
it?
bit I
They know how to
think they
do
find
it.
this hard. They do find this really hard. Yeah, it's almost one of those things you can actually sort of logically work it out. So you're going to have to work out the average cost, and then you're going to display.
Which is what you
So
had,
a
John. I'm
query
so
to
sorry.
calculate the average cost and display activities ending in ing.
It wouldn't be
which
display, it
cost-
would be select. It wouldn't be display, would
Sorry,
it?
select, yeah, because I'm unfunctional, and select activities ending in ing, which cost more than that average. And I think there's a bit of sorting at the end, yeah, that would just be all context at the end.
Yeah.
I would start with the averaging because that's what you'd have to do like first, because you can't select activities until you've got your average. You don't know which ones to select.
Okay, so we're
And the
thinking
last
something
one
along
is
the
wait.
lines of
Yeah.
feel free to put your microphone on and battle this out with us, John. We're thinking
know.
something along the lines of a query to calculate the average cost of premium activities, which you've got, and then select activities ending in ing greater than the cost of the average, and then the sort plugged on the end.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool.
I think that would have all of the requirements within it. Yep.
Yeah, and would you
the last
always
one
write
is-
them all as one, Morag, or would you ever split them up? Because
I would maybe just split the sentences if they just got big, just because.
yeah, that would still be listed as one requirement rather than being like, because surely if they want to sort at any time on that sort, regardless of whether it's that query or another, it's the database still has to have that ability to do that, doesn't it?
Yeah, it would still be one requirement though. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Right, let's have a little look at Mr. Pyatt's. How do you see
the
the
last one
database
is
being
strange
used by
because it's kind of
campers?
it wouldn't be a nice interface because at Hire they don't have a nice interface. They're still working with their database. But having said that, enter the ID and session number and their choice of activities. So that would in fact, be insert.
My query to insert unique ID, a selection of 10 activities for the period over 2 days. The only thing I think maybe you've missed there, Gavin, is the session number.
Yeah, the session number. Yeah.
That's not listed. That's
Session it is that
listed
they're signed
there.
up for. Yeah.
So you need the
Yeah.
unique ID and the session number before they can choose the 10 activities for this to be applied for. Because I think more than one, it's a lot, wasn't it, that first bit? But I think that there's more than one session within the 4 weeks, isn't it? It's
There
almost like
was,
1 week's a session or something.
Yeah, they could go back for another block of 4 weeks.
I was blowing my mind, that thing earlier on.
That's fun. Yeah.
Why does it have to be
It
called
just shows
OSCP
you-
too? I was like trying to
Right.
practice how to say that word for ages.
This is a really old hire task. I even know it was 2009, maybe before that. I don't know.
Is that an
Don't
info
ask how
systems
far back.
one?
But when it was an SQA task, and I know the guy that wrote the task, and he took summer camp in the States, and that's where his idea came from. I think he may have been a leader or a camp, whatever they call them,
Camp manager.
in Camp OSCP. Yeah, it was Camp America. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So that's
What do you
where the
think,
thing came
guys?
from.
That was a bit tough. What do you think? So either give us a thumbs up or come off and tell us a little bit about it.
But yeah, I know.
Did the
Oh, come on.
scaffolding help, or now do you feel worse having tried to do on yourself? Or
Unmute.
Al?
I definitely think the scaffolding diagrams are a great bonus. You know,
Yeah.
worth coming on the session for.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Not just us, but
If there's a takeaway, then that's, and we're also going to have like all the tasks. We've taken quite a few of the older tasks like this one and made all the files available and all the tasks. It goes all the way through design and implementation and everything like that. So
We'll
all of
have that
those
to
will
take
be
away.
available.
And
Yeah, all of
are
those will be
we not
available.
going to, are the plan to adjust the scaffolds for National 5 as well, Morag? So people can use that with their
I
National
think,
5s?
yeah, I mean,
Or?
I think the only thing that would really be different there is the calculate. You're not going to need it. I
Yeah,
think that's all that would drop.
and the rest would stay the same.
Yeah, because the rest is pretty much N5.
Because originally, I think we looked at doing the activity with Nat 5 and higher, and then we realised you can see right from the beginning they're actually so similar at this level, and it's
Yeah.
really just the context is different, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just
Which
the
is
context, and it
effectively the
is very
same
much
bubble.
it is just the implementation and what the queries that the complexity of the queries that they're doing.
Yeah, I seen a thumbs up from Gavin, so I think he's good. John, how are you feeling about it? Just in case we get thrown back into the mix with everyone else.
No, I think I agree with what I was saying. The scaffolding, I've kind of been trying to do that over the last couple of years, just mainly by how I'm getting them to take their notes down.
Yeah,
So there's some elements of the scaffolding I feel like I already do, so that way, that way sometimes you come to these things and don't feel terrible.
yeah,
But
Yeah.
no, I think it's been really helpful. I think the functional requirements are probably the one that's going to trip them up a bit more than the end user. I think they're easier than the functional, but it's
Yeah.
just that
Yeah.
it's the same with SDD. I'd imagine it's just more of it's a process first. Think what needs to be done first, second, third, and fourth, and then putting it all together. I
Yeah.
suppose.
Mhm.
I think that's right. It's one of those
Yeah.
things when you have it available and then you sort of begin to remove it or hide it or
And I
take
think
it off
if
the posters.
nothing else, the kids are more easily able to fluke the end user requirements because the lack of technical knowledge.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of it almost is copy and pasting. 2/3 of what's actually on the page already. Whereas
very
with the
much so.
functional requirements, I think at least the scaffold is prompting them to use that technical
Yeah.
language that they've maybe missed.
No, I agree. Thank you.
Perfect. Good. Gavin, are you good? Is
So-
there anything else you want to add before we go back? I feel like it's going to just be Back to the Future and we're not going to know what's coming and then we're going to be thrown back in the midst.
No, that's all been really good. It's really makes sense. It's nice to have the scaffolding picture. Yeah, it definitely helps.
Yeah, and I did the same as you guys as well. When we were marking those first ones and we're looking at those higher examples, I was like, do you know, they don't sound bad. And they're throwing technical language in there. And then it's not until we started to break it down against the scaffolds that we made that you were like, actually not hitting that point, not hitting that point, not hitting that point. I'd imagine that I've not done marking, but I can imagine the markers just be like tearing their hair out. Like, how do we give the kids mark? You're trying to do the positive marking. If everyone's answering the same wishy-washy partial answers, there's so little marks allocated to it anyway. Like, how do you try to positively mark with something like that? I don't know. Is anyone involved in marking of you guys? Silence.
I'm at the Nat 5 assignment in the higher exam.
Higher exam. So have you had much discussion about the analysis and the evaluation stuff before, John, do you think?
No, not as much as I think is needed. I kind of said this the other night. I posted this on Twitter about the SDD session. I feel these types of sessions are the things that I've kind of, as a student teacher, was sitting about, like, why do these not exist? Like, and I know there's course reports and there's understanding standards and stuff like that, but I always felt like before I became a marker, I always felt a bit out of the loop sometimes with like my colleagues that were like, oh, you wouldn't get that in the exam, and I felt as if I was disadvantaging the kids, and so I think that sessions like this are really, really helpful in terms of the exam. There's been wee bits and pieces, but again, I feel like it's still heavily implementation and testing in the exam and design. There's a bit of analysis and evaluation, probably more evaluation than analysis, but I don't think I've ever had a conversation that's went into as much depth as we have tonight, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, that's right. And I actually think it really does depend where you are as well. Like, I actually I've taught higher advanced higher Nat 5 for a long time, and I have a big network of people, but I haven't been a marker before. But I know loads of people like Peter Donaldson and Greg Reed and things like that. Like, I know them personally, so I've had quite a lot of input at CPD events, because Fife's obviously quite a large area and quite a large network, and we do quite a lot of stuff in the inset days and things like that. So I've been lucky enough between that and Plan C and things that I've had quite a lot of input from people in the know, but it's so difficult as well. And especially if not even just for new teachers, but people who maybe like have came into computing and then, you know, all this stuff changed, or like I've taught with people who were maths teachers and then have kind of been forced into being computing teachers, and then this new version of computing's come along, you know, the computing science, and they're like, what the hell? Like, it's just so difficult, and they're trying to get their head around the implementation because that's where the big marks are at, and then this stuff just gets forgotten about.
Yeah, I've seen that quite a wee bit about, like, with some of colleagues I've worked with before. When they started, it was very hardware focused and info systems and stuff, and they've struggled with the heavy SDD side of things, and I suppose it goes back to what you were saying there about sharing practice and finding that network, which is why any student teacher I meet, I'm like, get on Twitter, get on Twitter. But no, I think that yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I think it depends on where you are and where you train and who you know, I suppose, sometimes.
Yeah, are you on the Computing Science Scotland team?
Yeah, oh God, I don't think I'd cope without it.
I know. So do you know what's really funny is, this is terrible, but it's the first time I went on it, like got added to it by Brian Clark, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to get something for advanced hire. I've been teaching advanced hire for ages. I really still don't feel confident, you know, like after all the stack stuff last year, I think a lot of people were just like treading water and trying to get through advanced hire as best they could for years. Morag, you might be laughing in the background, agreeing with me, being a marker. But like everyone's just like, oh, advanced hire is so hard. And I went onto that Computing Science Scotland page being like, please be like this amazing person somewhere who teaches advanced hire, and there's going to be loads of resources in there. And I swear to God, I went in and there was just one comment that said, check out this woman's YouTube channel. She's posted some good videos for advanced hire, and it was mine. And I was like, no.
You are the expert.
I was like, my lockdown YouTube channel cannot be as good as it gets. Please, please, there must be more. So bad.
They seem to have, I'm trying to work out what's going on the others. They seem now to have gone back. So
I know it's 24 past, actually. We probably should.
I know. I think we should go back. And yeah, I think we should go back to the.
How do we do it, though, Morag? Don't leave us without
I'm
telling us how it works.
There's a return
pondering. Come on, guys.
Button top right.
This is like how many computing teachers does it take? I don't have a button in the top right. When the timer expires, you move to the main room. It's all good. I'm going to be punted in 20 seconds.
Okay. Is that what it's saying? Yeah. Okay.
That's what
Yeah, I think no, still two more. Yeah, that's everyone in.
Great.
X. Yeah.
Right. Hey, Kimberly, you there? I want to move on to
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Yep.
So sorry, we could not work out how to get back, but we've made it now.
Brilliant. Well done. All good to go. Amazing. Great. So during the analysis stage of any database development, the end user and functional requirements are produced.
Great. And for what we said earlier, David, these are needed by the design team whose job it is to actually design the solution to meet those end user needs.
Yep, that's it. That's very true. So, but the completed analysis is used at every single stage of the development of a database.
Right. Explain that to me.
Yeah, okay. It's like my advanced hire kids in the same. So when a solution has been implemented, the coding team will be passed the design of everything that needs to be coded, and a list of the requirements. So that's the functional requirements and the end user requirements. This will be used by the coding team to make sure that all of the requirements have been dealt with and that nothing has been forgotten about or overlooked.
Right, that makes sense. Then I'm thinking that the testing stage, that solution surely must be compared with the requirements to make sure that all works right.
Yes, spot on. So again, I've got people doing advanced hire just now. When I'm talking about testing, I'm just saying that you need to have your requirements there. A common errors that pupils make is to test their solution without looking back at the requirements. They're kind of not understanding that they're all kind of joined up and that were written in the analysis stage, so they need to go with their requirements.
Yeah, the ones they wrote.
Yeah. So doing that is easy for them to forget that some of the details of the testing they do may not fully test every aspect of the solution.
So what about the evaluation then? How is the analysis used during that stage?
Yeah, so when evaluating the code, the pupils need to think about what it is that they're supposed to do in the first place, and the list of requirements produced at analysis stage should provide that.
So would it be good practice then for pupils to have like a list of the requirements available when they're actually evaluating their database solution?
Yep, absolutely. So I'm getting a little bit of feedback here. So yep, absolutely. That way the queries and the SQL statements used in the solution can be considered in relation to the requirements. So as a result, pupils are much more likely to produce an honest and correct evaluation of their working database.
That actually makes much more sense to me now, why it's important to make sure that that list of requirements at the beginning and analysis stage is like clear and accurate. And then any of those requirements are missed or they're too vague, then the solution has no chance of actually meeting the user needs at all, does it?
Yep.
Okay, so before we finish this session, it would probably be good to make sure to look at how to evaluate a database solution.
Yep, if we do that just now. So yep, we've got it here. So here you can see yeah, we got it.
There we go.
Yeah, thank you. There we go. So here we can see that one of the functional requirements that we created earlier this evening.
And actually that describes everything that a query must do if it's to meet the needs of the manager of the camp. And then below the functional requirement there, you can see the expected output the query should actually produce.
Right, but then why do we need to think about the expected output?
I suppose it's the same for software development, and unless we really think about what should be returned, like by the query, we can't possibly know whether it's working or not. So when we execute the query, that answer table is generated, and we need something to compare to check if it's accurate.
Yep. So okay. So I mean, what this is saying is that the query should return an answer table with 6 rows. The fishing will be the activity at the top with a total of 3 participants, and power boating will be at the bottom of the answer table with a total of 8 participants.
Yeah, so it should go 3, 3, 4, 4, 6, 8. That's the order
Okay.
we're looking at. So shall we have a little look at the query and see actually one that's been implemented and check whether it's right?
Okay.
Okay, let's go. So here's a wee query.
Yeah. Wow.
First thing I suppose really is to look at the query itself. Lines 4 and 5, you can see have those specifics from the context. So making sure that we're looking for that waterfront location and the session number 2.
Yep. And if we look, line 6 is used to restrict the activities so that those that have an additional cost, in other words, the premium activities.
Yeah, because the rest come as part of the standard package, don't they?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so line 7 is the grouping, which kind of isn't mentioned, but that's obviously going to make sure that each activity only comes up once, so they're stacked together for the count. And we can see at the top, obviously, that the count's being used in line 1.
Yep.
So that's all fine.
Yeah, yep. So we can also see that line 1 of an alias has been used to produce a sensible heading for this column of the results table.
So I think now that we've looked at it, we should probably have a look at what the actual answer comes up as from this query.
Okay.
Oh.
Right. So I can see the queries return 6 rows and that fishing with a total of 3 has been listed in the first row of the answer table, that's the same. That's what we expected.
It is, but if we think back to what the expected output was, there is some differences.
Okay.
So here's what the original one looked like. And as you can see, they don't match. The expected output and the actual output aren't the same.
Okay, I can see a difference now.
So there is still 6 rows,
Yep.
but they aren't in the correct order. For
Okay.
example, the bottom row is not power boating with the 8 participants and water skiing instead. So it's in the wrong row, basically.
Okay, but I mean, am I right in saying it looks like the correct data has been returned and the totals are all accurate? It's just that the rows are in the wrong order.
Yeah, so the query has returned accurate data. but it hasn't met all of the requirements of the functional requirement. Okay.
Yep.
So now we've taken the time to think about the results, we have to then move on to the evaluation, to evaluate it.
Okay.
So let's move on a slide. Oops, I just did something there, but we don't need it.
Okay, hopefully not. Anyway, so yeah, earlier we said that higher and National 5 levels, pupils are expected to evaluate a query in terms of its fitness for purpose and its accuracy.
That's right. So I think we need to probably deal with them one at a time because they're two different things.
Yep.
So first of all, we must decide whether we think this query is fit for purpose.
And a query is fit for purpose if it meets all of its requirements?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So have a look at this query here. So, I mean, the results of this query, is it fit for purpose? If you can you let us know with the reactions? If you want to do a thumbs up to indicate you think this one's fit for purpose, and a wow head to indicate if you think it's not fit for purpose.
So this is the query from the previous slide, yeah?
Yeah.
Most people saying, someone said on fire.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
I don't know if that's a good fire or not good fire. Most people saying exploding heads. So I think the majority agree here, David, the query isn't fit for purpose, yeah?
Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, okay. So, but I mean, we need to explain why it's not.
Yeah.
It's not enough to say yes or no in the evaluation stage. It's expected to kind of refer to our kind of code or our database and say what it is that has been omitted within the context of that task.
And actually, I think we need a bit of technical knowledge. So how about this?
Okay.
I would be kind of expecting my kids to say something along the lines of,
okay,
the query is not fit for purpose because it doesn't have an order by clause to arrange the rows of the answer table so the least popular activities first, with the activities equally popular listed alphabetical to show the complex sort.
All right. Okay. Yep. I mean, that I'd probably say is pretty perfect as it comes to evaluation of its fitness for purpose. You've clearly stated that the query is not fit for purpose. You've given a reason for this, and it's related to the context of the task. And you've referred to the SQL code that you used in the query.
Yeah.
Now, what about the second part of the evaluation? Is it, so we've looked at fit for purpose, but is the query accurate? In other words, does the query produce accurate results?
I knew this was going to happen. We're going to have to go back, aren't we? So let's quickly look back at the expected output.
Right.
Oh, wow. The table's been moved. Thank you so much.
That was the thing you needed. Yeah.
Okay, so this is the previous frame.
Yeah. Okay. So when we compare the expected output with the answer table produced, we can see that the same 6 rows have been returned.
Yeah, so this is a bit where I struggle, but if we ignore the incorrect sequencing, the rows of the answer table and the total for each activity is actually right.
Yeah, so the query is accurate if the result it returns are accurate. So nothing has been omitted and no additional details have been included.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, a little bit of kind of thumbs up or head explosion here. Is this query accurate? Would you think it's accurate?
Yeah. I'm putting a thumbs up, but that's a bit I struggle with.
Yeah, it's a difference between what the difference between fit for purpose and accurate. Fit for purpose is kind of much more about the context, where accuracy is getting more about an isolated output, I would say.
Yeah, so I suppose the reason for this one is although the query is missing the order, the count function has been used correctly to work out how popular each activity was. So in addition, the query has correctly selected the premium activities that took place at the waterfront during session 2.
Yep. Okay. Yep. And once again, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. So, your evaluation clearly stated that the query is accurate, and you've provided reasons for this using the context of the task, and you've referred to the relevant SQL statements used in the query. So, yeah, I think you got that. Well done.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, we've almost come to the end of our first online session.
Yeah, I think we've kind of covered quite a lot of ground. We've written in a lot of detail here, and also we've highlighted areas of our courses that candidates have been finding difficult. The results nationally aren't where they should be for these topics.
Yeah, so I think the last thing to do really is to head over to Plenary in the Roadmap if you're ready.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Okay, let's go.
So, I mean, for us, a really positive outcome of the whole workshop, the reason why we're doing this is that your pupils are going to be better equipped to answer assignment and examination questions about analysis and evaluation stages when it comes to the database unit. That's our goal.
Yeah, and then we really want all the pupils to pick up as many marks in these questions as possible, which we can sometimes like really rely on our language skills more than our technical skills. So we want you to make use of this board and the messages we've shared. Use the SQA published coursework tasks and marking instructions and an open book assignment maybe, and there's nothing to stop your pupils looking at old marking schemes to help them answer this year's questions.
Yeah. So if we can go to the roadmap and frame, thank you very much. So there are 12 workshops happening. Now, we'd encourage everyone to attend as many as possible, and we're addressing the common misconceptions from the National 5 and higher courses. Now, the next session that we're starting to look at will be on the week beginning on the 27th of November.
Yeah, but they might actually not be on the same nights. I think a couple of us have parents' evening that week. So keep an eye on the social media or the Stacks website and join us when you can to help clarify our understanding and help us prepare our students for their exam. So if you want databases, check out what night that's on.
Yep.
Also, I forgot to mention, don't forget to follow the Stacks on the programme formerly known as Twitter and use the hashtag upskill with Stacks if there's any comments or things you want to share with us.
Yeah, brilliant. So, I mean, Brendan's also asked that if you haven't already filled out the survey, can you please click the link in the corner of the little Google survey note?
I think it's on Thoughts as well, actually, isn't it? The little purple. I'm seeing it as purple. I don't know if everybody else is.
Whereabouts are you seeing that? Can you guide me?
Yeah, so I don't know if I can show you when I'm presenting, but it's here. You see it? Okay. So the Google survey, there's on the top right-hand side of that blue post at the bottom, or also the little Thoughts brain top right-hand side of there.
Yeah, I see that. That's great.
Yeah, so we're basing the upcoming sessions around the marker reports. We would love any feedback on the ideas that you guys have for future sessions. So we'll move on to the final frame. And if you have any ideas for the next session, we'll fill in a note. So let's head to the last page. And will I come out of presenting and then people can have a little go at a note, a post-it?
Yeah, so if you can just fill anything, if there's anything that you're thinking, you know what, that was good, we really like that, but there's some topics that we're really keen to kind of get some training on, please feel free to add in any ideas you have into your notes. You may also have ideas for the next software development or the web sessions. And although we are not the team that's dealing with software or web, we would still be interested in your thoughts, and we can pass that on to the team who are. So
this is more like on what you want to see next, ideas rather than feedback necessarily on tonight. If you can't find us, look for our cursors and you should be able to head in the right direction. We're on the feedback 2 slide, which is green with the big yellow arrow. Because it seems like a few people are out of the way.
Yeah, so I mean, once again, can you thank you for everybody for taking part. Remember that the resources are being uploaded onto the Stacks website. That will include complete National 5 and higher database tasks that take pupils through the software development process.
Yeah, and we also talked about in our breakout the fact that we'll give you the structures, for higher, but we'll probably give out a version for Nat 5 as well, which will be really similar actually, because the context is only about the changes really. So take out the calculations so you can use them for Nat 5 and higher. But anyway, we hope you've all enjoyed the session, guys, and it's given you a little bit of food for thought to take back to your classes. In particular, we hope that you've give some thought to how you approach the teaching of databases, analysis and evaluation in the future. So I'm hoping that helps.
Yeah, definitely. And if you've got any spare time, we'd love to see you. We're going to be hanging around for a little bit. So you're more welcome to stay around, talk to some of us, ask us any further questions. I'll be here for at least the next 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And we've got a whole team behind us, and we're all happy to kind of help MD out that we can and just have a little chat. So thank you so much. And I hope that was useful.